This week on Deep Space Pride, we talk about the first two episodes of Lower Decks Season 4, Twovix and I Have No Bones, Yet I Must Flee. And we catch up on some news and what's been going on in our lives. Thanks for joining us. Johnson.
Hey Mike, how are you?
I'm tired actually, as we've talked about before.
Oh my god, so sleepy.
We were both in almost nap mode before we decided to record.
Yeah, so, nap mode. I'm ready to take a nap.
So we're trying to gather up the energy to talk about do this podcast and talk about Star Trek, and
we can do it. I have confidence in us.
How are you doing? What's been going on in Johnson land?
You mean other than being exhausted?
Yes, other than being exhausted. What other news?
Things are good. I'm trying to think what's happening.
We haven't talked all that much this last week or so because you've been busy and I've been busy. Like, it's been a very busy last couple of weeks.
It has been. Well, you were traveling and then I was traveling.
Yes, right.
And
exactly.
Now we're both back, at least for a little bit.
For a little bit, yes.
You are going somewhere again at some point in October?
Yes, but not until October.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm ready to stay put, but I think I'm going back to California in the first week of October.
Oh wow! Oh well, we are going to Rhode Island in the first week of October. So.
Oh really?
Yeah, so that works out well.
I'd actually rather go to Rhode Island. What are you doing in Rhode Island?
Dennis has a medical conference, so
in Rhode Island,
Providence, Rhode Island. So I'm going back to my old stomping ground, and it's also only 20 minutes away from my sister and family, so get to see them. Yeah. So.
Okay. That's fun.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to be gone for a week? How long are you going to be there?
No, it's like Wednesday through Sunday or something like that.
Okay.
I think the conference probably starts on Thursday because we're going up on Wednesday, but I could be wrong. I have no idea.
Well, when you went with him, where were you before for his conference? It was 2 weeks ago?
Oh, a couple weeks ago we went to Poughkeepsie because he was working in Wappinger Falls, New York.
Wappinger Falls. If you were to put a gun to my head and be like, point out Wappinger Falls on a map, I'd be dead. I mean, it's pulled the trigger now. It's over.
Yes. It's if you look for Cold Spring and go east or northeast, actually. It's that way. So
okay.
Yeah, so we were there. Well, Dennis worked at another site helping out. And so that was work. This is his education. So this is an educational trip. So actually, I guess we have a little bit more of a budget for dinner, for food. So that's kind of nice.
In terms of his per diem?
Yeah.
Or something?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
how much does he get?
Oh, I have no idea. He just said we can not eat a little better. That sounds horrible. We have a little bit more to spend this trip. And I was like, okay, all right.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I mean, my per diem when I travel was $70 a day for one person, which I think is fine.
Yeah. So I think he got $50 a day when we went to Poughkeepsie.
What?
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
$50?
So yeah. So obviously this trip has a little bit more, which is good.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. So you went to,
I was in LA.
You were in LA. And before you went to LA, I went to Maine to see my mom. So,
oh, that's right. Yes. You had consecutive trips.
Yes. Yes, right. I did. Yep. There was a week in between them, I think. Although it's all very blurry now. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm starting to complete my weeks together. I mean, I can't believe it's September. but it's been really hot, so
Right. Yeah, it
kind of a heat
has.
wave.
It's been uncomfortably hot.
Which you prefer over fall?
Well, so I am longing for fall-ish weather.
Really? I thought you hate fall.
No, I actually really like fall. I like the early part of fall. I don't like the fall leaning into winter.
Fall is my favorite season in New York. It's beautiful. Okay. The air is crisp.
Yeah.
And you have all these holidays to look forward to. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. And yeah, the time between Thanksgiving and New Year's is fun.
Okay.
So that's my favorite. That's one of my favorite periods.
This is your favorite time of year, yeah.
Yeah, that and springtime. Springtime is also amazing in New York.
Yeah, it is when it's not cold.
Also, when it starts to warm up. Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Yes. So no, I'm kind of over the swamp that you kind of have to walk through. Or
today was gross.
Yes, today was gross. Actually, I was fine until I went down into the subway, and there was like 7 minutes to the train, and I was like ready to throw myself on the tracks.
Okay, not dramatic.
And no, not that bad, but it was, because I was wearing pants because I was going to work, and I was like, oh, this is miserable, just feeling sticky. Sticky and sweaty. So yes, I'm actually looking forward to 60s cooler breeze. You can wear a sweatshirt or a jacket, but not a heavy situation. So
right.
I am looking forward to cooler weather for sure. Just slightly cooler. Give me 60s. I'll take the 60s.
I love 60s. It's my favorite.
60s is a nice temp. So yeah. So how was your LA trip? It was a pitch, right? Did it go well?
Yeah. So I was in LA. I was there for a few days to see some friends. Did I mention on this podcast that I went to LA to see this guy that I've been talking to on Tinder? Did I mention? I know I mentioned it to you, but I don't remember.
I think we might have mentioned early days you chatting with someone new.
Okay. Honestly, it's been a while since we recorded, so I don't remember what I talked about. I also conflate what I talked to you about in real life versus on this podcast, which is very difficult to keep track of.
It sometimes is, yes. I feel like though this time, I mean, August is supposed to be slow for me anyway. It was not slow. And in fact, I would love to have a repeat of August to do the work that I did not get done in August.
Wow.
That is now adding to my work here in September. But I believe you did mention you had started early days talking to someone. We didn't get into details.
Okay, fine. I can recap very quickly for our listeners that may or may not remember, and those who might be listening for the first time, the two of you. But I had started to talk to this guy on Tinder a little over a month ago at this point, and he was visiting New York, which is why we matched up, but he lives in LA. And I decided to chat him back and start talking. We didn't have a chance to get together while he was in New York, because New York was one leg of his multi-city trip. So we just did not have a chance to. And we were chatting, we've been talking, and I had reasons to go out to California anyway. So he lives in LA. He's permanently stationed there. He has family there. And I was like, why don't I come see you? And we can see if this is anything. And I did that. We spent a couple days together, actually. It's a lot, considering that it was a meeting in person. Yeah. We spent a couple days together. We went to California Adventure. That's Disneyland. I guess Disneyland's sister park. I guess you can call it that.
Okay.
There's Disneyland in Orange County, that area.
Anaheim, yes.
Yes,
Anaheim.
Thank you. And there's California Adventure, which is the more adult park. You can drink at the park.
Nice.
They have some of the Marvel stuff, so whatever.
Oh, cool.
And we went there, and we also went shopping. We just spent time together. And yeah, at the end of the day, we kind of just agreed to be friends. Mostly because it was kind of just, we agreed that the distance thing was not conducive to anything more serious. Though I knew that going in, obviously.
Right.
He's not leaving LA. I'm not leaving New York. But I think that for me, I also wanted to kind of see, is there something here that's going to make me want to make a bigger change or something like that? I was open to that. But it was just, but also 2 days is not enough time, to really make that kind of call. But I think at the same time, It's also like, all right, well, it's not really practical. So I don't know. It was fine though. Like, I liked spending time with him. We had a good time.
Great.
And I don't regret anything. It was good. Yeah. But
So the decision to not move forward was based more upon location. Was there chemistry? Was there chemistry?
There was chemistry. There was chemistry.
Okay. Great.
But I think the location piece, like if he lived in New York, or I guess if I lived in LA, I would be like, yeah, let's go on more dates. It's kind of like that. But it also wasn't like, oh my God, like for me, I guess it also, I don't know, it's just sharing too much. But it also wasn't like instant, like, oh yeah, like I'm ready to make this call. I don't know.
I don't think anything's in. I mean, the myth of, love at first sight and all that jazz is, I think a myth.
And I agree. I think it's just, I don't know. Like, I was just willing to kind of entertain it. And it wasn't a big deal. Literally, I had a reason to go to California anyway. So it was kind of like, okay, like, why don't we do a test, So we're still chatting. It's
okay.
That's just as friends. But yeah, so that was a big part of that trip. And as I mentioned, I did see some friends. And as you mentioned, I also was out there for business. So I had a pitch in San Jose, and I don't know, San Jose. I was like, maybe it's just the area I was in. I was like, this place is dumb. I was like, get me out of here. But I don't know.
I mean, San Jose is just like, isn't it just buildings with various companies in them? Like,
I don't think it's not like an exciting area.
Yeah, no.
I think there's a lot of tech out there.
Yeah.
We also stayed close to like San Jose Airport, and that was a dump. I did not feel safe.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was fine.
Okay.
So yeah, that was last weekend, and I got back Wednesday night, and I'm so glad to be back in New York, because New York's the best. There's nothing like it. I never want to go anywhere else.
Yes, although I'm proud of you. You were entertaining other ideas and thoughts.
Sure.
Which is, huge. So, well.
But let's be real. I'm not leaving Manhattan. I'm not leaving.
I'm proud of you for even considering that. But yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I've been saying, Johnson 1.0 have been like, no way, like immediately, like would have shut it down. Right. Johnson version 1.56 is a little bit more open.
1.56, I love it.
Yeah, open to love, whatever that means.
All right, hey, that's good. That is great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But that's probably been the biggest development, I would say, over the past couple of weeks. Work's been busy, but that's not unusual. That's like normal, standard operating procedure.
Yes, for you that is definitely normal. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So
cool.
Yeah. Should we talk about some Star Trek news?
Let's talk about Star Trek news, because it was a big week in Star Trek. We had Lower Decks premiere, and then the very next day we had Star Trek Day, which I would say the highlight of Star Trek Day probably was the United We Trek SAG-AFTRA WGA like March, right? which both of us were working, so we did not get to participate.
No. Yeah, I was actually interested because I think John Billingsley and a few other folks were kind of making the rounds talking about the United We Trek events,
Yeah.
I suppose. So I was kind of events, right? I was curious. Yeah, there was one in New York, one in LA. So I was kind of curious about it, but there's no way. It was like from 10 to noon. I was like, I'm in meetings. I'm not going to be able to get away.
Yeah, I mean, I was unexpectedly put to work. I was going to catch up for a few hours, and then our network went down at work. So,
yeah, that's unfortunate.
I went to work so that others did not have to go.
Yeah, that's the best.
So, yes. And then I ended up doing my work there. So, and I get a few other things done and caught up. So, which it was fine, other than being there all day on a day where now with my newer schedule, I'm supposed to be off on Fridays. I worked a full day on Friday, so I am hoping to bank that and take that this coming Thursday and have a 3-day weekend this coming week. So
okay, all right.
But we'll see what happens. It really, unfortunately, my job relies on other people doing theirs, and we all know how that works out.
I feel that's most jobs.
And we all know how that usually works out. So yes, we'll see. Jobs. But so we were both busy, but kudos to everyone who went out and marched with SAG-AFTRA and the WGA.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they come to some sort of resolution sometime soon. It's just dragging.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm all for them being on the strike as long as possible to get what they need. Yeah, get what they need to live an average life. Not even it's not as if they're all asking for money to.
Yeah, a lot of them don't have enough for healthcare. It's like it's not.
Yeah, so it's just it's. I'm fine with, it going on. I know that I want them to come to a resolution because I want the studios to give in, but I don't want SAG-AFTRA or the WGA to give in prematurely and not get what they need. Right. So I am here for as long as we need to be here. And as a side note, I mean, there's still plenty of stuff to watch on TV,
Foundation on Apple TV Plus.
Yes,
the best show that people are not watching right now. I will say right now, right this second, the best show people are not watching.
I mean, it is a good show. I have started season 2. You
have season 2.
I finished season 1 and I started season 2, and I was like, I didn't have anything I really wanted to listen to on my commutes. Or my commute. So last night I downloaded. I finished episode 1 of season 2 last night, and then I downloaded the Foundation podcast.
Okay, with Dave Esquire.
Yes, I don't know him from Joe Schmo on the street, but he was talking to the executive producer of the show. So so I have that to listen to. I actually am going to go back and rewatch the first and second episodes so when I loaded up Apple TV after I signed back up for it, or I got 2 free months for something, and I finally decided to use that. I loaded it up and it was already on episode 3. So I was like, okay, I'll just pick up wherever I left off and thankfully I did, because it wasn't until midway through episode 4. Which by the end of 3, I was like, okay, no, I've given this 2 shots. It is so slow. It doesn't make sense.
What do you mean doesn't make sense? It totally makes sense.
It does not make sense.
It totally makes sense. You're dumb.
Maybe, well, I mean, perhaps to some. It did not make sense to me on the first watch.
Okay.
It still didn't make sense to me by the end of episode 3. I decided to give episode 4 a go, And I think somewhere in the middle of episode 4, I was mildly interested in what was happening and being able to piece it together. So I do kind of want to go back and see episodes 1 and 2
of season 1
of season 1 again, just to kind of like recap in my head what kind of happened. I mean, they flashed back to a lot of it, but unfortunately or fortunately, it's when Salvor jumps into or does these little things with her where she's connected to Gale and she's in a different place. So spoilers for season 1. Right. Season 2 is almost over, as I found out.
Yeah, it's one more episode.
But yeah. So anyway, so I'm into it now.
It is complex. I think season 2 does a better job. Because season 1, okay, this is not a Foundation podcast, this is a Star Trek podcast, but let's talk about it very quickly. Foundation season 1 is interesting because they focus on a lot of world building versus character building, which I think might be tough for some.
Yes.
But it's a lot more about building the universe and building up the mythology, and you don't really spend that much time with individual characters. Because the thing is, the show spans so much time that people come and go. Season 2 is different because you actually spend time with the characters in a continuous way. So you actually, that's just kind of a spoiler, but all of season 2, you don't jump like decades. There are literally episodes in season 1. It's like 20 decades later, like 2 decades later or something like that. And then before you know it, you jump like a century ahead. It's just like, it's a little bit hard to follow sometimes. It's like these like really grand brushstrokes about like the galaxy. But then season 2, things come into a little more focus. So I really enjoyed season 1, but season 2 is better.
Okay. Well, I just started season 2 and so I've got that to watch now. Watching One Piece with Dennis, which I'm really enjoying.
Oh, are you?
Well,
have you ever watched like the anime or the manga?
I watched the preview of the anime on Netflix, and I was like, okay. I actually really like the live action of this.
Okay. I've never really gotten into the anime. I don't really like pirates. Like pirates are boring. But it's fine.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it.
It's interesting. It's funny. It's cute. It's a good diversion. So watching that as well. So there are new things coming out, and I'm sure there are some things. Oh, and so the other thing I want to talk about, which we've talked about before, is For All Mankind. I looked at that again, and it's been over a year since the last episode of season 3, and I'm like, where is season 4? Where is season 4?
Season 4 is, it was in production, but
was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I figured you would know. So, it's been over a year now since For All Mankind, which is actually a really great show.
It is a good show. But we've talked about For All Mankind as well. I don't love how much they jump ahead because I don't want everyone to be geriatrics. But it's fine.
Right, yes,
everyone's getting really old now, so it's fine. Yeah. But it is a good show.
Yeah, well, we'll see what season 4 brings, maybe someday. And then the morning show is coming back as well.
Oh yeah. Wheel of Time is back. I don't know if you watch Wheel.
Oh yeah, so we did. Yeah, we are watching Wheel of Time. That was also really confusing to get back into as well.
It's slow.
So there's some stuff out there to watch. Because after Lower Decks, we have nothing.
I know, until whenever Discovery comes back.
Whenever that is.
Early 2024.
Sure, but that's only if they've recorded the the extra material to support it, right? If they didn't record any of that, then
I don't know.
We won't see it until after the strike, probably.
And then after that, it's like, who knows?
So three things I noticed. So I did watch the Star Trek Day special.
Oh yeah, which you said was terrible.
I will give you the TL. Yeah, it wasn't great. I'll be honest. And I like Jerry O'Connell, and I love Tawny Newsome and Ernie Cordero. It's not Ernie Cordero. It's Ernesto.
I don't know his name.
I can't
Rutherford.
Rutherford.
Yeah.
So they were fine and good in it. You know, they did what they could, but it was not it was not an outstanding effort. But the three things two of them were together too. You know, they did mention that both Starfleet Academy and the Section 31 thing are still in production, or they're in some. So that was definitely stated. And then the other thing that was very obvious to me, at least, was that there was obviously no mention of Prodigy at all in any of this. So, those are my takeaways from that. And there was a preview for very short tracks, which I literally just watched while we were beginning to get set up to record this.
Right.
I don't have a lot to say about Star Trek Day. I hope the March went well, because you all didn't miss anything if you were waiting.
I didn't bother watching it because I heard it was bad.
Yeah, you know, and you know, I did see a few people that I recognized in a New York kind of piece about quizzing random people on the street about Star Trek.
That was with Jackie Cox, right?
Yeah, that was with Jackie Cox. So, but anyway, yeah. So those are my takeaways from that, and the fact that I lost approximately 20 minutes of my life to.
Oh my god, that's so sad.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I was talking to someone else about this, and he was like, "Yeah, it used to be better, and now it's not the right way."
Yeah, it's just So. Anyway, so there's that. I don't even know.
I'm sure it's I think that's writer strike. I don't know if they would have done a better job, but obviously with the writer strike, they were also kind of more limited with what they could do.
Yeah, I guess so. Given that,
and wasn't most of it pre-recorded before the strike, or?
I mean, it would have had to have been pre-recorded before the SAG-AFTRA strike.
Well, because I heard the animated shows, the people who work for animated shows they're under.
They have rules. A different thing. Yeah, that's true. So, but that would. So
technically, I think Jerry Connell, Tony Newsom, and
got it.
Would be under different regulations.
Well, they're all still members of SAG-AFTRA too. So
yeah, I don't know. It's kind of complicated. It's kind of confusing.
So anyway, I'm gonna make the assumption that it was recorded between.
Sure.
The strike,
probably June or something. I don't know.
Yeah, before the actors went on strike. So
yeah.
Anywho, so yeah, that's the news from Star Trek Day. Other than what else? We have.
Well, I did. So, did you like the very short track? I liked it, but I like random comedy like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was very random. Clearly not canon, which makes sense.
Right. It's very Adult Swim.
Yes, it is very Adult Swim. I agree with that.
Rooster Teeth or something.
Ethan Peck did Spock, right? Ethan Peck was Spock in it. And I thought, I was trying to listen. I don't think Kirk was played by Paul.
No. Kirk was played by someone else. I don't remember his name. But the problem is he didn't sound like Kirk or look like Kirk, which I did not understand.
Right. Yes. I did not understand that either.
I was a little confused. It was like if he wasn't wearing yellow and sitting in the captain's chair. Even the haircut, I was like, that's not his hair. Like, it didn't look like him. I don't know, because animated Spock looked like animated series Spock.
Yeah.
But Kirk did not.
Correct.
So
I would agree with
that creative choice.
And I've only watched a couple of episodes of the animated series, so I've never watched all 22 episodes of it. So, but even I could tell that something was off with Kirk, and I was actually kind of really listening to see if it was Paul Wesley, which I thought would have been a good.
Pete Holmes played him as a comedian.
Yeah, don't know.
Pete Holmes.
Oh, a comedian. Okay, so anyway, so that was mildly enjoyable 3.5 minutes of my.
Yeah, it was just it's silly, it's funny.
Yeah,
it's whatever. Yeah. It was very short.
I did not know where to go to until you told me to just Google it, and it was the top YouTube thing. But I haven't seen. Anyway, It wasn't on Paramount Plus. It wasn't, somewhere.
I think it's on StarTrek.com and YouTube.
Okay. So we have that.
Yeah.
We had that. So that's sort of our roundup. Is there anything else that newsworthy, news-wise?
I don't.
Well, let's talk briefly about this Kid Cudi.
Oh yeah, the Kid Cudi thing. I don't know anything about it. I mean, I literally have as much information as you do. I just don't. I think it's interesting. Maybe it's just their way of trying to get in new fans or something.
Yeah, I don't know Kid Cudi from anyone. So
I don't really know his music either.
I felt old initially. I did like the promo where he's sitting on the bridge in a command uniform. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah. But other than that, I guess there's a game coming out, Star Trek Infinite, coming out for Mac and PC, which I was excited that there was a game for Mac. I'm primarily a Mac person.
But you're not a gaming person, so
I'm not a gaming person.
So whatever.
But it's at least on a platform that I have access
that you could feasibly
right?
access if you wanted to.
Right. If I wanted to play the game, I could play it because I have a Mac.
You liked having the option.
So I do like having the option. I'm just happy to have the option and to hear it wasn't like a PS5 game or something that I do not have any access to. So there's that. There's a game, there's clothing, and there's a song, I guess, coming out.
It's merch, whatever.
Sure. So that's all we have, and it's coming out in October. So the next time we record, or maybe we'll have more information. I have no idea.
No idea.
That is. I think that's the state of Star Trek right now. Although the Picard Blu-ray is coming out soonish, I want to say.
Oh yeah, did you see that deleted scene with Worf?
I did not.
Oh, okay. So TV Line had, I think, the exclusive for that deleted scene, which is going to be on the Blu-ray. But it's basically Worf. They're in Daystrom, and Worf is talking about. I'm glad they cut it because literally, it's like one of those moments where they're in that lab with
Data
type android, right?
Oh yeah,
and they need to leave. And Worf delves. It's like one of those situations where like a character delves into a backstory during an emergency situation. I'm glad they cut this.
Oh, our favorite kind of situation. I was
like, okay, they need to like hurry it up. Like they need to like get because at that point they were trying to like get the information about like what the changing stole, right? So I'm like, okay, you need to get this information and get out. But literally everything stops because Riker's like, Worf, why did you become like a pacifist? And literally, I'm like, okay, you really don't have to have this conversation here. Like, it doesn't need to happen. So I'm glad they cut it. But it was a weird. So it was only a minute and a half, but it was weird because Worf was like, yeah, like I'm gonna ruin it for you. You can watch it whenever. But Worf was basically like, yeah, basically I spent years like hunting changelings. And one time he accidentally killed someone. Like he thrust his knife into someone thinking that she was a changeling, but it was a human. I was like, how does that make any sense? First of all, it was after the Dominion War. So why would he be like hunting changelings? It didn't make any sense. And second of all, why would you be stabbing a changeling? What is that going to do? Like, I was just like, so there's like multiple reasons for it to have not made sense. Like the scene didn't make sense for the moment. Like did not. Why was Worf hunting changelings? That made zero sense, especially after the Dominion War. Why would you be doing that? Like, it doesn't make sense. And then, the fact that because he accidentally killed like an innocent, which he said he's never done before, that made him choose his way of pacifism.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I roll, whatever. It doesn't really make sense.
Got it. Okay. Interesting.
So, anyway. Yeah. But all in all, the episode did not need that scene, so I am glad they edited it out because it probably would have raised more questions than answers. It's like one of those things, which makes sense. That's what editing is for.
Yeah.
So
wow. I did not know about that. So
yeah.
I'm gonna check. I may have pre-ordered the Blu-ray because I did come.
Do you have a Blu-ray player?
So in closing out one of our offices, there was some old tech there, and a Blu-ray player was available, and I was given it.
I
Dennis was like, "Why do you have this?" And I was like, "I don't know. There's a few things that I might want to watch."
Right.
So I mean, I think the fact that Prodigy was suddenly taken away from us, it sort of brings back that idea that the tech can go, or the tech has control of these. Go away. Content can go away.
Streaming content can go away.
Yeah. So, it doesn't look like I did pre-order it. Okay.
Oh, you thought you pre-ordered it?
I thought I pre-ordered it.
JK.
But anyway, it's coming out soon. Maybe even this week. I don't know. But anyway.
I probably should rewatch Picard season 3.
I mean, I'm in the midst of it. I think I'm up to episode 3. I don't know.
If Picard leaves Paramount Plus, it's like really over. Like it's really over.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely
that'd be over.
Yeah. Yep. So
I haven't heard any news because I think it would at SCLV that the Hageman brothers were like, they were saying that they're really close to finding a home for Prodigy, but I haven't heard any updates since then. So
yeah, I don't think there.
I mean, it's possible if it really has advanced, they could be in negotiations, like contract negotiations, and that takes a minute. It's possible.
Yeah.
If they don't want to say anything.
They were. I think I heard from that they were hopeful. They were very.
They were like. They said they were literally. They literally said they were 99% sure, which is very confident. Yeah,
that is from very SCLV. Confident. All right, great.
So I was like, okay, that's a very high probability then. So you must be very confident. So
yeah.
Anyway,
cool. Well, that is good news, and hopefully, we'll get to see maybe in that void of no Star Trek, maybe there will be Star Trek Prodigy.
Maybe.
But who knows? In the meantime, I have a Blu-ray player now, so maybe I will.
Reason for you to buy more shit and put in your apartment.
No, not much. I mean, DVDs don't take up that much room.
I throw out all my discs. I can't.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so that's all the news. We have 2 great episodes of Lower Decks to talk about.
Yeah.
So why don't we get into the first one? The season premiere, Twovix, which is such a great title, and Voyager fans, Prodigy is gone, but Lower Decks season 4, episode 1 gives you some of that back.
I know.
So, and I am, Voyager is not my most favorite series. So I'm going to need you to explain. I don't remember the clown, and I don't remember. And I think the other Hugh Jackman character-esque thing was like a love interest for Janeway.
Yeah, from Fairhaven.
Okay, from Fairhaven, yes. So I don't remember the clown thing. I don't remember the microphage.
What? You can't. Thing. You don't remember the macrovirus? How?
I mean, something as big as that.
It was so ridiculous. It was such a ridiculous episode.
Oh well, this is probably why I don't remember it. But anyway, a lot of great callbacks. The Voyager theme, the Voyager bridge done up in 2D animation looked great, and Boimler being Boimler because he freaks out about stuff and
and he gets in his own head.
He's in his own head this time, unfortunately, instead of freaking out about being on the freaking Voyager. But which Mariner, I loved Mariner's enthusiasm for this, and then to know that Boimler did not have any enthusiasm for this one because he was afraid he's going to screw up his promotion. But as we learn, it's not even that. He doesn't even want to get promoted.
Right. He feels
which
bad.
I thought was a really cute and sweet turn of events.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can understand. He did get promoted once, but then that kind of blew up in his face.
Right.
So maybe he's just afraid to go down that path again.
Well, I think, it definitely blew up in his face from a friendship. Well, from
right.
Getting split into two beings. I mean,
Right,
his Doppler is still out there working for Section 31.
Right.
Will we see him again? Perhaps. But I thought it was great that he did not want to ruin his relationship with Mariner.
Right.
So I thought that was really cool and nice. And then she pumps him up, and she's basically the person who recommended that he get promoted. So
right.
And at the end of the episode, we get the promotion. So they're no longer ensigns.
I know. It's been a long time coming, though. We've been talking about it at this point for years.
Yeah, but we were also talking about the fact that how can they keep them ensigns forever? And now they're not.
You can't pull a Harry Kim again.
Right. So I loved it. I thought it was great. It was such a great way to refresh the series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not that I couldn't keep up with the humor or just the time frame, which is like our Next Generation time frame, Deep Space Nine time frame, Voyager time frame, like that whole era. I loved it. I thought it was great. But what did you think about this?
Yeah, I texted you right after I watched it. I was like, that was a lot. It was so fast paced. I could not believe how much they fit into 23 minutes or whatever.
It didn't feel like it, right? It didn't feel like I didn't feel like I was.
It did not feel that short. I was like, they fit in so much. It's crazy.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's funny because, again, this harkens back to those old scientists that Strange New Worlds episode where it's like, why does everyone talk so slow compared to Lower Decks where it's so fast paced? It's literally like it's like they're like manic in comparison.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's just like so much happens, like, and the amount of the barrage of Easter eggs from Voyager, it's crazy. So the clowns from the Thaw, which was like a season 1 episode. I think it's season 1 or season 2. I think pretty sure it's season 1. It's when they go down to a planet, they find these people like in stasis, and from what I recall, they were sharing some sort of like their consciousnesses were being kept active. In some sort of like hollow matrix, essentially. They were like, their consciousnesses were like living, like, their bodies were in stasis, but their minds were active in some like basically shared consciousness. And they were, at first it was fine, and they had these other hollow characters, but then slowly the whole simulation started turning evil because it was taking like their like bad thoughts and then eventually materialized into this clown. So it wasn't on a holodeck, it was literally in like this like, I mean, shared consciousness kind of deal. Basically the crew goes down, and a few crew members they go into the simulation, I guess, and they're like, what's going on? Why can't we wake them up? And basically there's this clown that is an evil clown. It's an evil clown that is terrorizing them and like killing them off, actually. So that was a very memorable episode. It was really dark. So that's where the clown was. Michael Sullivan was on Fairhaven, and Captain Janeway love interest, and Chaotica, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that was the easiest one.
Yeah,
of
Chaotica.
Them all,
that was the easy one. The macrovirus, that was from, I don't remember what. I think it was season 3 or something like that. It was when Janeway and Neelix come back, and Voyager is adrift, and basically because this virus had taken over the ship. So that was a macrovirus, and that was like when Janeway went commando and she started killing all the viruses.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, I only did a rewatch like 2 years ago, so I still remember a bunch of the stuff. But it was
you
just
did, and then it's actually from late in season 2. So it's
the macrovirus one.
Yeah, no, the thaw. Sorry, going back.
Oh,
to
season 2. Okay, I was like, it was early. I was like season 1, season 2.
No, it was the end of season 2. So
well, season 1 was short. So
right.
I think season 1 was only like
16
13 episodes
or whatever.
Like that,
yeah.
So
yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, there was so many references. Obviously, we had the reference to Threshold with the salamander babies.
Yeah,
we had that. That was great. And what else was there? Obviously, Twovix. Duh. That was
Twovix,
like,
the cheese.
The cheese. Yeah, the neural gel packs. I don't remember what episode that was when the neural gel packs got infested with the fungus or whatever it was, or the bacteria from the cheese. But that was also early.
I mean, we had the regeneration,
right? The Borg alcoves.
Yeah, the Borg alcoves.
But it was just funny. It was just like, oh my god, Voyager's so random. There's just like so much shit, you know?
Yeah, even Ransom says that shit got freaky.
Yeah,
on Voyager. So,
but yeah, it was. I think overall, it was obviously like a love letter to Voyager, and I really enjoyed it. I love fast paced random shit like that. I mean, I always find that stuff funny. And the Twovix stuff was obviously, of course, it got like out of hand. Like, of course it would. Given that it's lower decks, of course it spirals.
Right.
And yeah, it was good. And yeah, I'm glad they got promoted. I'm glad that finally happened because again, we've been talking about it for a long time. Like, it doesn't make sense for them to say Ensigns Forever. And it was odd that Rutherford was the only one that didn't get promoted. But
right, yeah.
But then it was rectified in the next episode, so it's like, okay,
yeah,
whatever, it doesn't really matter.
Yep.
But I did like the Boimler, again, him kind of getting in his own head, and he needed Mariner to snap him out of it, and that was great. Oh, and we didn't even talk about T'Lyn. I really like T'Lyn. I think she brings a different voice to the cast, and she's so deadpan. It just makes things funnier when she's like,
they fit her in nicely. She doesn't feel extraneous, like they've never, so,
Is that your dog?
Yes, that is my dog playing with his bone again while we're recording the podcast.
Of course. You need to get, the solution is you need to get another dog so that
so it'll be double the noise, and
so he has like a play pal.
Never going to happen. I've told Dennis this. I've told everyone this. There will not be another dog. No.
But then he'll have a friend, and then he'll bother you less.
No, then I'll just have double the bother. I love how all of you think that. I mean, it's quite well noted that I have already little bed space to sleep with on our queen size bed. So yes, getting another dog will not make this better.
You guys should have gotten like a California king. I don't understand why.
I know. Well, yeah, we thought that the room wasn't big enough. It would have been fine.
Yeah, it would have been.
It would have been fine, but
it would have been fine.
You know what the thing is, though. I mean, I'm sure it would have come up, but I know this whole total segue here. I don't know that if we had gotten a king, I don't know that I would have made the leap to getting a California king. So a California king is
massive.
Yeah, yes, but it's for me, it's the length that's important, right? It's not the. I mean. So the problem
the width is also given that now you have like 3 creatures in your bed.
Yes, and
Dennis sprawls out.
Yes. So the thing about the California king is it's longer, so which is good for me because I'm taller. I'm pretty sure California King is something like probably 2 queens together or something like that. 2 like, or a good like 1 and 2/3 of a queen. Whereas my impression of a king size bed, and I have not double checked the measurements of any of this, but I'm pretty sure the king size beds that we've had have been too short. So I think that it's almost like 2 full size beds put together. That is my impression of the bed situation. But anyway, so
I'm looking at
anyway, you're looking at measurements. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. We can talk about this offline. Anyway, going back to what were we talking about? Voyager and lower decks. And we were talking the dog interrupted our podcast yet again.
Yeah, your dog did interrupt the podcast.
Yes, he seems to want to play with this bone every time we record. But anyway, and now he's on the... Yes. So, anyway, why don't you start in talking about I have no bones, yet I must flee?
Yeah, so obviously I think the big thing that we left off on from the previous episode is Mariner also getting promoted and her having a very, very negative reaction to that. And I mean, obviously, at the end of Twovix, I think it was Rutherford. No, or was it Tendi? I think it was Tendi that said, "Oh, we're so lower deckers. We're lieutenant junior grade. It's not like it's not like we aren't like still very junior." So we kind of left it on that note. This episode was all about. I mean, obviously, I think there were multiple plot lines, but a big part of it was Mariner self-sabotaging and trying to get demoted while Rutherford's trying to get promoted, and Boimler is trying to get settled into his new living situation. That's basically
what did they say?
Yeah. What was that?
Oh no, I think someone said we're now the bottom rung of the mid-level command.
Yeah.
Some way
they have a long way to go.
Yes.
Essentially, there were many levels in between them and being commander, I guess. So they're fine. Like there's plenty of time to be lower decks.
Yeah.
But so we basically follow Mariner as she and Ransom and Gary go and visit a zoo / menagerie run by Narj. And then Boimler, and it's his comedy of errors when it comes to his new living quarters. He switches multiple times. He has his quarters that are next to the buzzer collector. Then he gets upgraded, quote unquote, to a room that's in between the holodecks.
Yeah.
And then he's in the Jeffries tube. I think that's when he moves in the Jeffries tube. And then he bunks with Rutherford.
Newly appointed lieutenant junior grade.
Right.
Rutherford.
So by the end of this episode, again, that's fully resolved.
And Rutherford knows how to control the viewports too.
Wait, yeah, which I was like, oh, come on. Did he not even investigate or ask the computer, hey, is there any way to dim these windows?
Right, yeah.
He's never done that before. That's weird. There are no
but it's very Boimler. It's so on brand.
Yeah,
for him and his foolishness. So,
and I'm trying to think. Rutherford's journey to being promoted and running into a nemesis.
Oh yeah.
So, did you? I think we talked about this. You watched Seinfeld, right?
Yes, I have. So now I get the reference. Okay.
Yeah, it's like Newman. It's the Newman reference.
Newman.
Instantly. Okay. I knew it was a Seinfeld reference.
I recognize that I've seen this before, but I could not place it because it's not one of my favorite shows. So
that's great. Yeah, it was a clear Seinfeld reference. It was really great. And I don't know if Ensign Livick is going to come back, but it was pretty good. But I mean, the A storyline was definitely Mariner and Ransom and Gary on the station.
Yep.
And we we got introduced to Moopsie, which is now apparently like everyone wants a Moopsie plush. I mean, it's a cute, adorable, vicious animal.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's ripe for that kind of market, right? It's the perfect plushie.
Yeah, and it's essentially a Pokemon. Like it's a animal that says the name of says his name over and over. Like Whoopsie. That's what Pokemon do. You know?
Oh, I did not know that.
Like Pikachu. Okay, only say Pikachu. Like Pikachu.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have you never watched the anime?
No.
Ever. Like one episode. You never seen one episode of the Pokemon anime?
Yeah, no, it's not part of my repertoire. I probably
Oh my god.
But I did not pick up on the fact that all of them say their name as
yes. So all of them, like Bulbasaur can only say Bulbasaur. And then Charizard like Charizard. So
I had no idea about this.
That's literally all they do. Like literally all they do. So in anime, the movies, all the Pokemon can only say their names, which I guess is the reason why they're called those names. It wouldn't be the other way around, but literally it's a Pokemon on Star Trek.
Okay.
So everyone wants a Moopsie plush. It's really fantastic. I mean, the thing that bothered me, which is also SOP for Mariner, is this whole self-sabotaging thing. Like, we've seen it multiple times before.
Yeah.
I was like, I get it. I'm hoping that this is it. I'm hoping she's, Ransom
set her straight. Yeah, I think that this
Even though other people have pointed this out before. Like, other people have done this literally multiple times.
Right.
Hopefully it sticks this time and she can just move on.
Yes, I think it lent itself well to this episode because at least for a good portion of it, I thought she might have done this.
I did too. I was like, did she? But then when she said like I didn't do this, I'm like, she wouldn't lie about that. Like,
yeah.
I don't think she.
But there was some good minutes there where I thought,
oh yeah,
that she had done this. So
it wouldn't be it wouldn't be out character, especially in the vein of self-sabotaging for her to do that. But then she's not going to lie about it. Like if she did it, she would say, I did it. Like, so when she said like, it's not me, I was like, yeah, then, it was something else. Then I suspected Gary.
I didn't make that jump, but I understand it now.
Yeah. Then I was like, is it Gary? Did Gary do it? Then I was suspecting other people. I suspected Gary. I suspected Narj. I did not suspect the humans.
No, I didn't expect that. I did not. I thought it was once it wasn't Mariner, and I think she probably in that same breath she probably said it was Narj or whatever his name is.
Narj.
So yeah. Yeah, and So I'm hoping. I agree with you. I hope that this is sort of the end of the self-sabotage, and she can sort of now work through the next level of her career with the 5 of them.
Right.
So
are you gonna miss their hallway beds?
I mean, it was a nice set piece. I'm excited to see what they do with. So we see where Rutherford and Boimler live, but we do not know where Mariner, Tendi, or T'Lyn are staying. So we still have that to kind of see. I'm happy that they've got their own quarters. I think they are they're good friends. I actually like the matchup in this episode. So putting Mariner and Ransom together. Was different. We hadn't seen that really since season 1.
Yes, since season 1. I'm pretty sure you're right.
Yeah, so because she referenced everything that he had done to her before, which I'm pretty sure was mostly in season 1. So that was a good matchup. I do love Tendi and Rutherford together. I'm Boimler's a thing on his own. So which is good for him and pretty standard. And then let's see. T'Lyn, did we see much of T'Lyn in this episode?
don't remember.
I don't know that we saw much of her in this episode.
I don't think.
so-
Yeah, I don't think she was prominent. If she was even in the episode, she didn't.
Yeah.
She wasn't memorable.
So it was. I like the mix up of characters and setup here, which is something that we hadn't seen in a while, which is kind of nice. And then two other things is that so we didn't even talk about the connecting thing that's going on in the
right.
Voyager.
I just remembered. I was like, oh yeah, we forgot to talk about that for.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about the attacking alien thing that's coming.
Yeah, I literally just remembered. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that two things. These are related, but they're I feel like the opening sequence looks much improved, next level. They've gone
the title sequence.
Yeah, the title sequence I feel like has gone through a little bit of a upscale.
Really?
Yeah. And just on some of the finer details, it looks a little sharper maybe to me. I don't know. And then there is the addition of the probe from Star Trek 4 to the attack scene.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah, the probe.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's so good. You don't. I
remember watching it. I was like, is there something new? You
have to listen really carefully, but you hear the thumb of the
oh, really?
Thump of that thing.
Oh my
Star Trek
God.
4, but it goes right into the next scene where the bug that's attached to the nacelle thumps too or whatever. But also, I actually, so two things that so the opening sequence of the Cerritos in the the starfield where it gets hit by a few rocks, and then that's where I noticed it being a little bit sharper, and then if you notice behind the depth behind the lower Star Trek Lower Decks moniker or whatever,
the title,
you see a little bit more, at least I noticed a little bit more depth of the universe behind it.
Oh, really? Oh,
and then the scene, obviously, then you see, I saw the probe from Star Trek 4 in that battle scene. And then right after that, if you look at the bug that's attached to their nacelle and that whole thing, it's much more sharp. It actually looks slightly different than previous seasons.
Oh, okay.
Those are just I could be wrong. Maybe my screen was extra high def.
Extra high def.
I don't know. But so definitely some upgrades from this season. But I think it looks great. Yeah, I think they must be doing some tweaking behind the scenes on some of this, because I think that it's looking even better this season.
Oh, I need to rewatch it because I did not notice the wheel probe. So
yes,
I'll have to take another look because that's literally the scene that they've been adding to. I was like, what did they do this season? I couldn't find a difference. But
yeah, so
evidently my powers of observation are limited.
So I think for me, these two, certainly the season premiere this year is much better than what I thought last year. I remember how I was feeling last year.
Yes, I agree. Because last year I feel that it was kind of stunt. It felt a little stunted,
it felt a little
more of the same,
repetitive. Yeah, more of the same. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm really excited for this season.
Yeah, I feel that listening to feedback or something, which is great. So it feels more fresh. Definitely the promotion did a lot for that.
Yeah.
Do you have any theories about the big bad for the season?
I don't. It takes
a while. So admittedly to our listeners, I have watched a few more episodes because we got screeners, and it's not really a big spoiler, but it goes nowhere fast. It takes. I mean, I'm I don't know. I don't remember how many episodes I've watched, but I'm like, where's this going?
Where is it going? Yeah, I don't know either. Although I've watched a couple episodes ahead, but I don't remember them right now. But I do remember from the interviews pre-season.
Okay.
Mike McMahan saying, or someone saying that this big bad or whatever starts attacking other worlds, and then it starts attacking the Federation at some point.
Oh, okay.
So it's not really a Federation problem right now.
Escalate at some point.
Yeah, it's going to escalate at some point. But
because we get a few more. I mean, I guess the spoiler, a few more of the scenes where I'm not going to say who's.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure they will.
We get more. We get more of the same scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More of the same, like, lower decks, sort of like that 3 ships episode.
Yes, it's
yeah.
Which
so
yeah. But after a while, I'm like, I get it, but now what? Like, it's
yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'm expecting a new baddie or someone from the past baddie.
So the one theory that I've heard, it's a fan theory. It's not a spoiler. It's a fan theory.
All right, so it's a fan. It's not your theory.
Fan theory is that it is. It's what's his name? It's Alt Boimler.
Oh, okay.
But what's his name
now? William Boimler, isn't it?
What?
Isn't it William? Didn't he go with
William Boimler?
Didn't he choose the same name as Will Riker?
Did he? Okay. I don't remember. I just know he has a different name. It's not Brad. So
yeah, I think it's William Boimler.
I was like, okay, maybe.
I mean, I could see that. I could see that.
Because I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be more interesting if it was someone we knew versus like a completely new rando.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting thing. Were we talking and you came up with a theory on something that I really liked?
Ahsoka.
That was Ahsoka.
Okay, different show.
Obviously, a completely different show. Obviously. Okay. So
do you want to talk about Ahsoka?
No, I do not want to talk about it.
We should talk about it at the beginning. Now it's over. It's fine.
Yeah, we did not talk about Ahsoka. We'll save it for the next time. Okay. Yeah, no, that actually makes really good sense. That's an interesting idea. Section 31 testing something, and
I was like, okay, maybe.
Perhaps William Boimler goes a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Shocking.
That's a good theory though. I was like, okay, I will buy that.
Yeah. So that is a good idea. All right.
But yeah, so far don't expect a lot of to our listeners, a lot of leaps and bounds there, by episode 3. It's like, by the time this episode comes out, our podcast episode comes out, people will have seen episode 3 maybe.
There's probably another one.
Not much more happens.
Yeah. So. No, this is something that, has happened throughout all of Lower Decks, right? There's always been this little like D plot that they bring to fruition towards the end of the season or whatever.
Right. Yeah, like you have the Packlets, obviously.
Packlets, yeah.
What else has there been?
I'm trying to think of other things, but
I feel the Packlets were the big thing for season 1 and 2. That was continuous. That was like multi-seasonal kind of.
Yeah.
Season 3, I don't remember if there was like a big bad or whatever. I don't think so. Anyway. But yeah, no, 2 good episodes. I'm glad to say that it still feels fresh. It's still funny.
Yes.
And
they freshened it up for this year, I think, more so than they did last season. So, although we had some highlights from last season, like the DS9 episode, and but I think, this feels fresh and new, and I am here for it and enjoying it. And,
it's great.
We have to savor the last of our new truck.
I know, it's so sad
for a while,
a little while.
So, although the report is that once the strike is over, Strange New Worlds can jump right back into production. So
right. They're ready.
That's good. But
until then,
hold out. Yeah. So, well, another episode in the can.
Yeah. I mean, at this rate, our next episode will probably be about the finale, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Life is too busy. All right. Well, Mike, do you want to talk a little bit about our sponsor?
Yeah, Fansets is the premier sponsor of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network and Deep Space Pride. And I was checking out their website. They do have some new grooved magnetic deltas for Star Trek Picard, which are interesting because I have the old version. But these look fancy and beautiful. You can get them in pin or magnetic deltas. Both the beginning are like sort of the season 1, season 2, a lot of season 3, like the dark gray ones, and then at the finale obviously went to the gold background. So you can get both of those, including some new Universe of Star Trek pins, including a Paul Stamets and Hugh Culber pin, which looks great, as well as a Mr. Spock one, and so much more. So head on over to fansets.com, check out all the pins. So they not only have Star Trek, but tons of other fandoms. And head on over to fansets.com, put a bunch of pins in your cart. And if you spend more than $30, you're going to get free shipping in the US. And if you add the code TrekGeeks, all one word, you're going to get a 10% off your order. And we want to thank Fansets for being the premier sponsor of Deep Space Pride and the Trek Geeks Podcast Network.
Thanks, Fansets. All right. We would also love to hear from you. You can follow us on social on Twitter/X and Instagram. When did X come out? When did that break? Was that after our last episode? I don't remember. So
I don't know.
I think it was before. I think
it was before our last episode, but
yes.
It's been a while.
X and Insta at DSpace Pride, and you can also email us at dspacepride@gmail.com. And we'd also love a 5-star review or a vote or whatever on your podcast platform of choice.
Yeah, so more people can come in, join.
Right. We get it. We get it, Hamish. You want attention. I understand.
No, he's actually far away.
Oh, is he?
Right.
It sounds like he's right next to you. So.
Yeah, no. He's not, but right, of course, it is loud, and I apologize for that. But what can I do? At least we can continue recording, and he's not sitting on my lap. So small wins.
I know.
Well, that does it for this episode, and let us know what you're out there watching, or what you're gonna watch after we have no more new Star Trek.
I know, so sad
to talk about.
So sad.
This has been
fun, I guess. Until next time.
We haven't really caught up, so this was a good catch up for this. You and I.
You and me.
Yeah. I mean, we've only slacked very little in the last month because
I know
traveling.
It's been hard. It's hard for me to slack you when I'm traveling because I'm not just like on my computer. And then you're less responsive when you're traveling. So
yeah, definitely when I'm traveling, but also
when you go into work too.
Yeah, when I go into work, I'm not sitting in front of my computer all day. Right.
Sometimes I'm like Mike.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
It doesn't always show up on my phone, so I don't know it until later. So
I know.
So yeah, but it's great catching up, and let's hope that Lower Decks continues some great episodes for the rest of the season. I mean, they have a good track record, so I'm not really worried.
Yeah, they're fine.
So yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks,
all right.
Everyone.
Well, thanks. We'll see you again next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Deep Space Pride is a production of Coconut Media Works. Executive producers Bill Smith and Dan Davidson. For more great Star Trek discussion, discover the other shows of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network at trekgeeks.com or find us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.
Coconut.